Does the channel provide value?
Focus on the foundation.
I am a travel vlogger.
It's always about communication.
Build those partnerships.
What are the problems that you solve for your clients?
Just being ahead on the technological side of things.
Leading an organization.
You not only want to survive, but you want to thrive. They said it wouldn't last, and they said that you can't drive profitable and incremental revenue through the affiliate channel. But here we are, 20 years later, and the affiliate channel is alive and kicking and generating profitable revenue for thousands of retailers across the globe. Hi, I am Jamie Birch, your host of the Profitable Performance Marketing Podcast, where we talk to some of the industry's best and brightest about their careers, about leadership, and about how to drive profitable revenue through the affiliate channel. Hey, this is Jamie Birch. Welcome to the Profitable Performance Marketing Podcast. Today we have an awesome guest. Terry Adelman is the Managing Partner of MENfluential. Before I introduce this episode, though, we are right in Q4. So one of the things you are probably figuring out is what to do next year. And on your mind should be the incrementality and profitability of your affiliate channel. Now, in our client success map, our 5-step way to scale your affiliate program profitably, we have a step where we create a profitability roadmap for you. So that is a strategy for profit and incrementality, where we look at all aspects of your program. We work with your business intelligence team to identify how are we going to measure what's incremental and what's profitable in your affiliate program. If you would like access to that, you want to talk about how we can do that for you. No link today, just email us at gethelp@JEBCommerce.com, and we will set up some time to go over our profitability roadmap with you and help you make sure that 2021 is not only a high revenue producing year, but also an incremental one and a profitable one. So Terry is a good friend of JEBCommerce, and we've done many, many projects together. He is an influencer or manages influencers. So MENfluential is an agency that works with male influencers that you can work with in multiple ways. We've worked with their brands, their influencers in there on several different programs. Terry and I talk about those in this episode with great success. So if you are an affiliate manager, you're a CMO, you are in charge of e-commerce and digital marketing, this is a podcast you definitely want to listen to. It is about an hour and 10 minutes long, but we really dive into the questions that you have had, our clients, advertisers, and prospects have had about working with influencers, how to work with them, what they look for, how success is measured, and things like that. So without further ado, my interview with Terry Adelman. All right, welcome, Terry, to our Profitable Performance Marketing Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us on, at least where I am at, a very wintry, snow falling everywhere kind of day.
It happens to be a little bit warm here the last few days. We've been pretty fortunate over the last weekend. I think today it's in the low 70s. And I think you know about this. You're from Pennsylvania, right?
I am, yeah, just outside of Philly.
I'm outside of Philadelphia. I'm in Bucks County. And yesterday, I think it was about 73 or 74. It was almost 78 degrees on Sunday here. So
I'm so jealous right now. I have to, at some point today, put implements on my tractor and go plow. I think we have 4 inches on the ground. It's 26 degrees. And it is still snowing. I'm watching it out the window and watching my workload increase with every flake. We did have 70 degrees last week, and it was beautiful, and I could totally handle, a long fall at about between 50 and 70, but that took a turn for something else late last night.
Wow. Well, you know what? I like the snow. What I don't like is cold for no reason, meaning 20-degree weather with ice or just cold and windy. If it's going to be cold, let it snow.
Yeah. Are you a skier?
I snowboard. I haven't actually been out on the slopes for, I want to say 3 years. It's maybe longer. My daughter now is 3 years old, and it's going to motivate me to take her out. I think we're going to hit the slopes She just turned 3, so I think give it a few more months, maybe January. The ski conditions typically take a little while until the base is where it needs to be,
Yeah.
especially in Pennsylvania. The PA, skiing and the conditions, even over the last years, even though I haven't been fortunate enough to get out on the slopes, they've been pretty crappy. So.
Well, it's different skiing. We're in Idaho, so we're right at the top of the Rocky Mountains, and I've skied in Pennsylvania. It's so different there. But yeah, I did the same thing when I had kids. I spent many years not hitting the slope. There were many other things to take care of, but they pick it up so fast, and was so much faster than we do as adults. So 3-4 years old is perfect time. She'll be skiing with you and pushing dad to hit stuff that maybe you haven't done yet.
Hey, you know what? I'm looking forward to it. I started young. My dad started me pretty young. I've been fortunate over the years to go out west. I typically would go to Colorado.
Oh yeah.
Skiing at first, and then snow. I skied since I think I was about 5 or 6 years old, and then
Right on.
and then I took up snowboarding when I was about 17 or 18. So that's a couple of years back now.
Yeah, a little bit, right? My
yeah.
daughter wants to snowboard this year. She's 14.
Oh, nice.
I did it for half a day, and it was painful. And so I just said, screw this, walked back to my truck, got my skis, and enjoyed it. I wasn't able to get past that first day, which I'm told if you get past the first day, you pick it up much quicker than skiing.
Yeah, well, the thing about it is, I mean, personally, I guess I look at it and I think snowboarding would have been easier to take up as a kid because, you're on one board, right? Versus having to control simultaneously in sync 2 skis on each leg, right? And people are typically, favor one over the other. I'm right-handed. I use my right foot to kick or what have you. So I think snowboarding may have been easier as a kid, but you're right. I mean, if you're not prepared to have sore wrists and a sore butt at the end of a day of snowboarding, you shouldn't go out.
Yeah, I said if I could get some football pants with a tailbone pad, then I'll try it again. But if I'm not going to do that, and now I think they even put that pad in snowboard pants. But I hit one so hard, I thought I broke my tailbone. I was in the middle of the slope, and I literally picked up the board, walked to my truck, and said, "I'm just getting too old." And I wasn't even that old, so I don't know what it'd be like to do it now. But yeah, that's great. Congratulations. 3 years old. I can't believe that much time has passed.
I have an 11-month-old though too.
Congratulations on that too.
Thanks,
oh man.
Yeah.
I remember having 2 little ones. It got crazy.
It's crazy. I've got 2 girls. So, it's interesting. And the one that's 3, obviously she's, walking. Ella is her name, and Olivia is my 11-month-old. And Olivia is just starting to stand up on things. I think she'll probably start walking soon. But Ella is pretty active. She loves to climb and jump, and she's a little bit of a daredevil. I bought her a skateboard because I'm not a great skateboarder, but I dabble, and so when she's on her scooter, I'll skate alongside of her, and then I ended up buying her a little skateboard, and it's tough. Skate that's tough. I think that's even going to be tougher than snowboarding. So we'll see. I'm excited about it though. I'm definitely excited about it, and when I need some free time to go hit the slopes myself, I'll put her in a ski school, let them handle it for a little while.
That's how I first got my kids skiing. We went away for 3 weeks or 3 days, and in Montana, Whitefish, Montana, they had a program where you put the kids in for full days, and you get them in there at 9:00. You don't pick them up until 3. They do 2 lessons in group skiing, and my wife and I and my older kids, we skied and snowboarded all day. They learned how, and then when we got home, everyone knew how to do it. And I didn't have to teach anyone anything, which was great because I'm not that good anyway. But yeah, that'll be great. It's so much fun getting out there and the kids being able to do what you have to. This year, my 12-year-old son is way better than I am. So I'm going to have to level up to keep up with him. He's been my ski buddy for the last 6 years or so. So I'm going to have to level up and do some stuff I haven't done since I was 20.
Yeah, no, that's great though. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I'm an older father in terms of where my parents were when they had kids. I'm 44 now, going to be 45 in February. So I'm 44 with a 3-year-old and an 11-month-old. So, I'm pretty active, but I'm not as active as I was, in my 20s or 30s. So I think it's going to motivate me, to get out there, push me a little bit, like you're saying, to keep in shape and to be active and do the things maybe that I wouldn't do if I didn't have young kids. So it's great. And I love it.
Yep. That's awesome. Well, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about yourself? Like, where did you start? How did you, where you're at now? And then, what's going on with MENfluential?
Sure. I'll kind of I'll try to keep it a little brief. You can dig in where you think your audience might be interested. So basically, you already know my age. So I've been, I've been dabbling in a few different careers over the last, 24 years or so, 23 years or so. I started out in the automotive industry in sales. I was 21 years old. I had been through some college, and I never really, college was never my thing. I was always a hands-on kind of guy. I like to be active. I like to be involved. If college was, an internship or a job, I probably would have really succeeded more so than I did. And but at the end of it all, I decided sales was what I thrived at. I had some kind of little sales jobs along the way in high school, working at some stores in the mall and things like that. I knew that I liked helping people out and answering questions. And my father and my both of my grandfathers were in sales in one way or another. So I always kind of knew that I had that in me. I like talking to people. I like learning about people on various levels. And so fast forwarding to 21, I took a sales position at a Toyota dealership. And, in the first year, I was really successful. I started to, win the Salesman of the Month in my first year in, and being young now, looking back on it, 21, what did I know, really?
Yeah.
And at 23 years old, I decided I wanted something that was a little bit more professional, a little bit more upscale. So I went to a BMW dealership for a very small stint in sales, when I then had an opportunity to go back to the BMW dealership where I came from as a sales manager at the age of 23. So, it was a great accomplishment at the time. And I got to tell you, after a year, I hated it. I hated sales management because what I realized, and I'm sure you can relate to this, and I'm sure some of your listeners can too, if they have a business or they're in management or they have people under them that they're responsible for or accountable for, that, you get to a management position typically because you've succeeded at the lower levels and you've worked your way up. And what was difficult for me was that sales, I guess, kind of came a little easy to me, but I always tried hard. I always tried to perfect it and learn and, what can I do to better myself and sell more cars and, do, what processes or what have you do I need to learn? And so I was always interested in that. And so anyway, but what I realized was it's very difficult to, hold everybody to the level that you think, you would want to be at or you were at. Because at the end of the day, I think what you need to realize is there are going to be people that are more motivated and inspired and more go-getters in life than others. And, you get to see that when you're managing, 20 or so salesmen. Typically, you've got your, 2 or 3 that are pretty good. You don't have to really worry about. A couple of them are normally top salesmen month in and month out. And then you've got, you call them your A players, and then you've got your B players. And but a lot of them, you've got your C and D players, and you have to decide, who really wants to be there, who really wants to get from that D or C level to the B level or even A level. What are they doing to get there? And how much of your time is it taking away from your A and B players or the C player that wants to be a B player? So the reality is management is very difficult. It's very frustrating. I didn't really have a whole lot of guidance on what to expect or how to maneuver, myself around these feelings that I had about people that were, kind of taking the path of least resistance. They weren't really that motivated. They just were there because they needed a paycheck. And that's not who I was. I was never that guy. I was never anywhere for a paycheck. As a matter of fact, I went on then to have other management positions. And, when I felt like I couldn't move the needle or I wasn't able to do something, I would typically leave and look for another job. And sometimes before I had another job lined up, and people thought I was crazy. My friends thought I was nuts. How can you leave a job making good money before you land another job and just leave? And it was more ethics and morals for me. I didn't want to stay somewhere. I didn't feel like, it was right for me to stay somewhere where I didn't really believe in it that much and I wasn't going to give it my all. I always really feel like I need to want to give it my all. And I'll get to where I'm at now. I feel like that every day. And then I along the way, I managed other sales dealers. I managed other dealerships, automotive dealerships, where I then started to really take an interest in marketing. And so I would ask the owner of the dealership, or if there was someone, above me, I would ask, let me handle this. I have a real interest. I know, kind of the messaging that needs to be out there. The way I ran dealerships was customer service was a top priority to me. I wanted to make sure no matter how good a salesman was at selling cars, that they were always going to take care of the customers the best that they could. Because at the end of the day, whether somebody buys from you or not, whether you do business or you don't, word travels very quickly. And just because they didn't purchase something from you doesn't mean the experience was bad. Maybe they purchased a different product that they liked better. And so customer service has always been very, very important to me. It's always been a top priority. It still is to this day. Along the way, I learned a lot about myself, managing people, that there are different levels of ability out there and desire to learn and to better yourself. And, I would do the best I could to build the most solid, motivated team that I could. And I had a lot of success in the automotive industry. I worked for a dealership that was an Acura dealership. We were the number one new car dealership in the state at the time. We were the number one certified dealer in the country. And it was a huge combined effort. I'm not sitting here patting myself on the back. It was the team that I'm talking about. We had a great team.
Yeah.
We had a great team of salespeople, a great team of managers. The marketing was solid. And, you try different things and you live and you learn and, you ride the wave with marketing where you can. And one thing led to another. And as the years went on, I started to kind of connect with the right people in marketing, dove into the digital side of marketing with the automotive dealerships even quicker than some of the other big dealer groups around. And we started to see that we were really able to break in to areas where they hadn't. And, when you're doing that, you're able to get in front of customers that may never have, heard about you or known about you, or they don't know your current message. And now you've got these customers coming into your store. And so, marketing has always been a big part of what I've loved about the automotive industry. I love the sales aspect of it. I like the management side of it at the end of the day after I learned through the years. And so, fast forwarding all of those years, I spent probably about 16 years in sales and sales management. And from that, I spent about 2 years on the road with a a guy that I had known from a previous dealership. I liked a lot of his methods and his philosophy and his kind of the process that he was implementing in a dealership that I had worked at as a sales manager. And I teamed up with him and we did some sales training, and we did, and so I would travel to Arizona and California for that on a monthly basis. So I would go there, I would work with the sales team, the sales managers, the owners, and we would train their sales team and managers. And, it was great because you got to see the needle move. You got to see people that you really liked working with one-on-one start to sell more cars, make more money. And, it's good for everybody. It's exciting. I just got tired of travel after a couple of years. And so, I had a couple other little things going on at the time. I tried a couple different businesses and didn't really pan out. And I was looking to really take a break from the automotive industry. And that's kind of where this will now come in a little bit. One of my business partners, who also is a top YouTube star on basically in the men's lifestyle world, is Aaron Marino, who has a channel, Alpha M, currently with over 6 million subscribers. And if you know anything about the men's space, it's different than the female space, where it seems as though there are a lot of different there's a ton, there's a ton of female talent, whether it's in the beauty space or the fashion space, and they're divided up a little bit more so than the guys are, because there aren't that many talented men that kind of can talk about, or that can talk to men on a general lifestyle level, where they're talking about fashion, style, fitness, health, grooming, kind of all things men that relate to men, that are all about improving a man's, confidence, improving their lifestyle on a personal level and on a professional level. And so, Aaron, I, have been best friends with since I was about 13 years old. So now, do the math, we've been best friends for almost 32 years, roughly. And it's pretty cool. And so, he knew everything about me and where my strengths were, and about my, my jobs and my career and everything else. And we would talk on a monthly basis. We saw each other a couple times a year. He has family up north here. He's from around here. He lives down in Georgia, outside of Atlanta now. And basically, he was up here in the beginning of the summer of 2015. And that's about the time when I was looking to take a break. And he said to me, what are you doing this summer? I hear, you're done with, training and consulting. And I said, yeah, I'm not sure what I want to do. The car business is what I know, sales, marketing, that sort of thing. And he said, so what are you going to do? And I said, well, I haven't really taken that much time off over the years. And at the time, I think it was 18 or so years, I would take a week off in the winter, take a week off in the summer, never really took that much vacation time. And I thought, let me take the summer off. And he says to me, dude, you can't sit still for 5 minutes. How are you going to take, how are you taking a summer off? And I'm like, well, you know me well. And I'm like, and I laughed. We're sitting at breakfast actually in, I think we were either in Atlantic City or Ventnor. We were in that general area there in New Jersey. And I said, you're right, and all the while, kind of my brother kind of comes into the picture here a little bit. Brian lives in California in Santa Monica, and Aaron had just been out there filming what was going to be his second Shark Tank appearance, and which didn't air until the end of May in 2016. It took a while because they ended up saving that episode for the season finale. But instead of jumping too far ahead there, Brian would always be in Aaron's ear and, about my abilities in sales and relationships and management and marketing. And, he knew that Aaron was being approached by different brands looking to, sponsor, pay him to integrate their brand into some of his content. And, Aaron, he is actually, you can have a great conversation with him. He's, great communicator. He's a great salesman. He's got a lot of passion, but you have to like or love the aspect of sales to communicate via email, phone calls, and things like that. And the length of time in the course that it takes for you to then put a sponsorship together, he never really liked that. And so that was great, that he didn't like that, but those are the things that I love. And so what ended up happening was he said, why, what do you need to pay the bills? And at the time, I had made pretty good money all along the years. And he said, look, give me the amount, I'll give you whatever it is to pay the bills for the next 3 months, come and help me out. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but we have to agree it's not going to affect our friendship. And I'm like, yeah, of course not. It would never affect our friendship, because that was always a chance we were taking. And, Aaron was never really one to delegate a lot of work because he never really found somebody he trusted. He and I, again, have been best friends for a long time. He trusted me to kind of dive into his business a little bit. And Jamie, it took like 2 weeks for us to figure out that he was listening in on a call when I was down in Atlanta. He's like, oh my God, you're so good at this. And, and I said, I just like talking to people. I like finding out about their businesses and really digging in. And I am truly interested, and I'm not faking it. I'm not just trying to make a buck. At the end of the day, that's the goal down the road, is if they have a brand and a product that, where there's synergy between that and, Aaron, his channel and his demographics, then great. And so anyway, so one thing led to another. I started to see more sponsorships in the first month than he'd ever put together, and at a higher dollar value. And then one of his friends that he was connected with, because he had this little network going of all of these male influencers, Antonio Centeno, who has a channel, Real Men, Real Style, reached out to Aaron about me, knew what was going on, then reached out to me. And I started to then handle a lot of the incoming inquiries and leads for him to be, brands and agencies were reaching out wanting to sponsor him as well as Aaron. So now I'm handling both sides of that. Things were going really well. And I thought all of the while, even before Antonio, here I am talking to an agency or a brand for an hour or two at a time. There's 100 emails back and forth before a deal, comes to fruition, right? And I'm thinking, why am I just talking about Aaron? Yeah, he's awesome, but who else is there? And then there was Antonio, and so we were talking about, well, let's start a company where we'll represent, male talent, and that's what my thoughts were. We are going to represent influencers in the men's space, and then what happened was Aaron and I were on the phone, and he said, well, what do you want to call the company? And I said, well, you guys are influencing men, you're in the men's space, you're influential to men. And Aaron said, MENfluential. And I said, that's it, and it was pretty easy because at the end of the day, I mean, the name is important, but it doesn't matter that much. I mean, you've got big companies out there where the names don't really make a whole lot of sense, right? Like Apple, I mean, they don't sell Apple.
This one's easy to understand.
It's easy to understand. It was kind of a combination of two names, Men and Influential, and MENfluential. And so that started officially the middle of September 2015, although I had started with Aaron back in June or July. Real quickly, I started to realize, people, the brands were coming back and saying, I'd reach out to them, how did everything go with Aaron's video, this and that, or they would reach out if I was too busy and say, look, we want to book some more sponsorships with Aaron, with Antonio. And at the time now, I took on another eight influencers kind of in this space, some blogs, but mostly YouTube channels. And so anyway, I noticed, look, and I'm optimistic. I was thinking, if we're doing well, I was looking at it like a batting average, 3 out of 10, if we can bat at 300, we're okay. It was actually better than the complete opposite. I mean, 8, sometimes 9, depending on, how many we were working with at a time. 8 or 9 out of 10 were coming back to us at some capacity. And a lot of the time it was at a larger capacity with bigger budgets. They saw the needle was being moved. They started working with other guys. And granted, we started it at the right time, at the end of the third quarter, coming into the fourth quarter when things are ramping up, right? The economy was doing well. It was, the end of 2015. And so I realized here I am managing, I'm the only one now, managing 10 influencers, but also starting to realize and shift that I'm not just a company representing influencers. I'm representing these brands. I mean, these brands are putting their money and their faith and their trust in me and in MENfluential. And I'm thinking, you know what? Maybe we're not who I thought we were set out to be. And so realistically, just kind of like a typical, I guess more along the lines of being an agent or an agency where, you are in the middle and you got to be able to do it, unbiased, where you're representing the talent, you're looking out for them when you have to, and you're looking out for the brands when you have to also. And I realized that we were getting so busy. I was working 7 days a week, sometimes, past midnight, talking to companies around the world. I had to, when you're talking to Australia or Hong Kong and you're 12 to 16 hours difference in time zones, you have to adjust your schedule. And it was crazy. So I reached out to my brother in California. He was selling cars. He was actually working at an Audi dealership in Santa Monica, handling VIP accounts, celebrity and high profile people. And Brian was always great with sales and relationships. He really maybe didn't have that much knowledge about the marketing side of things. And I needed someone to grow it. Otherwise, I'd be spinning my wheels working with the same brand. So Brian came aboard in January of 2016. Fast forwarding, he really got a grip on things. We took on more influencers along the way, and he really landed some really great accounts with agencies and some brands, while at the same time I was too. And things were really, really moving quickly, rapidly in the right direction. I've had a couple people work with me along the way, helping out. But to this day, I mean, we work with, we just jumped into the female space a little bit with back in January with a girl that I worked with at another company for over 4.5 years. She was leaving, and I recruited her to help me grow the kind of the female side, because I'd always have brands ask me about, when are you going to start working with women? And, we want to work with you. So right now, we work with, a lot of different talent. Of course, there's the core kind of go-to guys where, brands are working with these particular influencers on a weekly, monthly, bi-monthly basis because things are really working for them. They're seeing the results. And so we've got our core group of guys and some females that we kind of go to for everything. And then when the brand's looking to expand beyond that, we do have other talent that we work with. Some are direct, some are through agencies, but we also know what to look for. And we are working for the brand just as much as for the influencer. And I think that's the key, is that these brands and agencies on the brand side of things, the ones that are the ones with the budgets that are spending the money, taking the risk, they understand that when we're working for them, we're doing the best we can to get them the best possible rates, to get them the best possible talent, where the integrations are going to be, top notch and really speak, in such a great, passionate, enthusiastic, positive way about their brand and their product and their service. That at the end of the day, even if it doesn't move the needle like maybe they were hoping, you've got great content online about that company, searchable, and there's a lot of great assets that come with YouTube video integrations and videos by the talent that we work with. And so we've made a lot of great relationships along the way. We've had a lot of great success for brands. The majority, I'll just give you a couple numbers. I don't like to dive into too many numbers, but regarding brands, we worked with 90 brands last year. We'll work with roughly 90, maybe a little more this year at the end of the day. Out of those 90 different brands, and we've worked with probably about 160 brands, 170 brands over the years, but those 90 brands, I would bet you, if I look back and I do all of the math, I look at it, you're going to find that probably a quarter of those brands have worked with us for 4 to 5 years plus, another quarter of them 3 to 4 years, another quarter 2 to 3 years, and then the other is going to be a mix of brands that have just come and started to work with us in the last 6 months or this year, or over the last year or two. So
that's great. And we've seen the success. I can talk numbers because we have them on our site, both bodybuilding.com and Indochino. Just working with Aaron, in one day, his video produced 50% of their daily affiliate traffic. 72% were new customers, and Indochino, every single customer through our campaign with Aaron and you was brand new to the brand completely. So huge successes you guys are delivering. Tell me, what is it like to start a campaign? How do you measure success? How do you walk the brand and your influencers through how it's going to happen? Talk to me about that.
Sure. No problem at all. Well, thank you for the complimentary numbers. We actually went on to work with bodybuilding for quite some years. We haven't worked with them this year, but we worked with them for 3 years or more. Indochino. I still have a relationship with them. Things slowed down for them as far as their marketing spend because of production, the virus. I get maybe even the desire to wear suits right now. So there's a little bit of that.
And that's an interesting question. I would love to dive into later of how has COVID influenced this space, especially fashion, but go back to, getting started and working.
Yeah. So anyway, I think the answer you're going to hear from me, and I want to kind of preface this by saying I'm not trying to be ignorant and dodge a question or be, ultra diplomatic or anything like that here. But I know this about JEB. I was actually at your company or at your office 4 years ago, right around this time. It was after the election.
We have a YouTube video when you were there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah, no, I mean, it was great. It was fantastic. You had a great team and very knowledgeable. But what I realized is also you guys dive into the data so much more than I do, so much more than I will with any client. There's a couple of trains of thought there. So, it is one of the things that potentially might keep us from earning a brand's business, working with them, is that I can't, when a brand if it is just cut and dry where they say to me, look, we need to see some analytics and stats and some numbers and some data from previous similar company campaigns or what have you. It's just not information that even if I have it, I'm willing to share because I feel that it's private. It's private to that particular brand. And most of them I still have relationships with. And I can't really be vague about it and talk about a brand without talking about what they sell and what they do and maybe even who they are. To that point, one of the things that's really worked well for us, and I can just talk about Aaron, for example, because he really is, he's special in this space for sure. There's no doubt about it. And it's the way that he's so able to seamlessly integrate a brand into his content and really just make it flow really nicely while pitching it harder than probably anybody I've seen pitch a brand or a product.
Yeah.
But so getting back to this without trying to get off target, and you can always keep me back on track here, is that what I'll say to a brand a lot of the time is that, here are brands that we've worked with. Aaron and a lot of the other guys have we've been working with a lot of the same brands now. Probably 75% of the brands we work with, we've been working with for 2 years plus or so. And so there's a reason that they're coming back. Not only are they coming back, they're sponsoring more frequency, more times than they previously used to. Different categories. We're also very loyal to the brands that work with us. That's another thing. You're not going to see Aaron pitch ABC boots in January, then DEF boots, and then XYZ boots, 2 weeks later. It's just not going to happen. One of the things that we try to, the messages that we try to get across to the brand is, look, if it's working for you, let's keep going. We'll work with you. We need it to be organic and authentic, but look, you want to change up some bullet points, some talking points, some key message points, change up the call to action, create custom landing pages and things like that. You want to continue to make the message and the content, the integration stronger. That's fine by us, and we'll work with the influencers to do that. But look, what we have seen is the more content that a brand puts out through these influencers, they, look, like any marketing, they have ups and downs, right? One video could be good. The next video could be amazing. The third video could be okay. And the fourth video could be good. And the fifth video could be crap. Could have just bottomed out. And that's a tough thing to get over. But after so much ups and downs, you got to look at it as a whole. I mean, the overall spend, the time that they've worked with us, are they up? Are they increasing, new to file customers, traffic to their site, views? How, what's the value in when you go to, YouTube, right? Or Google even, and you're searching for specific topics having to do with men's lifestyle in one way or another, and you're seeing video content, and a lot of people are searching YouTube more than ever rather than reading articles or seeing little snippets. They're looking and they're seeing YouTube. It's second biggest search engine. And so the reality of it is that the SEO value of this content is amazing. And when you have a brand that's continuously working with an influencer and multiple influencers building up libraries of content, it's hard for somebody looking for a suit not to see Aaron or Jose or Antonio or somebody else talking about Indochino. Or at the time when he was, all over bodybuilding, even though Aaron is not a specific fitness channel, what his appeal was is that he isn't a typical fitness channel, although he's got a lot of credentials in that particular space. But here's a guy who you watch about, maybe working out or 6-minute abs or whatever. I'm just making things up. But and then the next video is, 10 top accessories every guy must own. And you're like, oh shit, I'll watch that too, And next thing you know, you subscribe. And now, not only did you see that, you were introduced to some brands that you'd never been introduced to before. Maybe you buy immediately. Sometimes that's happening. Or that same person that watched him originally for the fitness video saw bodybuilding. Then 2 weeks later, Aaron does something about, protein or a diet or, working your legs or something like that. They watch that. Guess who's sponsoring that? Same brand, And so the idea that we're able to stay loyal in categories, I think the brands have looked at as a real asset with dealing with us, where they know with some other influencers, if that brand is not, either there's the communication's off or maybe it didn't perform well enough to consider another video. But, imagine how watered down, like that example I was giving you about the boots. You talk about one boot in this video, and the next video it's another boot company, and the next video it's another boot company. Why not, if there's enough product coming out and you can keep your content fresh, why not integrate it? You don't have to say, 5 boots for this or that. Doesn't have to be the title for every video. It could be, fall fashion style, ideas. And, the integration could be about boots. One could be about just, 5 boot styles for the wintertime. So there's a lot of ways that, we've been able to, the influencers have been able to get creative to keep these brands interested in coming back. And I'll be honest with you. I mean, the one thing I really love is that, I'm friends with most of these brands. My brother's friends with most of the brands he works with. Tom, who also works with us, who handles a lot of brand partners, is friendly with the brands, that he works with. Now, we're not seeing these people in person as much as, we used to, and we never really saw everyone anyway. But I think the goal for a brand should be to find the influencers that not only the influencer can be loyal to, but that the brand can also be loyal to, and continue to, sponsor and see a real true partnership And obviously one of the things that I was going to tell you about, which is, a key element, is that the influencers truly like the brand, the product. They think that it will resonate well with their audience. It doesn't necessarily have to be a brand that they are specifically wearing or using every single day, but they have to consider the audience that they're speaking to. I mean, speak about watches, for example, and I don't need to mention names necessarily, but for example, Aaron wears Rolexes. Anybody who watches him sees that he's had multiple Rolexes. Not everybody that's watching him can afford a Rolex, and that's okay. That's perfectly okay. I mean, he wasn't always able to, too. I mean, he's had more of the years he hasn't been able to than the years he's been able to afford them. And, but at the same time, we also we've worked with multiple watch companies. This particular past year alone, we've worked with one specific watch company that, Aaron really feels is a stylish looking watch. The company's got a great message, and he feels that there's a synergy. And so do I, between him, his channel, his audience, and the brand. And it's okay that Aaron, in the other video where he's talking about some other things, or you see him in an Instagram picture out and about at dinner and he's not wearing that particular brand, that really doesn't have a negative influence or effect. It's that Aaron's really trying to put out content that his audience is going to like, number one, that, where they're going to be entertained and educated and informed. And I think that's across the board, with all of the influencers, that's the goal. And to be able to integrate a brand, product, or service that they feel confident about and that they also think that their audience will like to hear about as a recommendation or suggestion. And look, if they're looking for a sweatshirt or t-shirt company, we've been working with one right now that we've been working with, and we're going to continue the relationship in the next year. And so, if you're looking for, who's not looking for a great t-shirt or a great sweatshirt? Well, if you are, you can go to his channel or some of the other guys and watch, and you'll see the brand that I'm talking about. And, and that's kind of how we work. We work with brands that we like and that we feel that will be good for the audience.
Now, when you guys start working with a brand, do they and you talk about success metrics? Like, here's how we're going to evaluate this campaign. And then when they come back, is there certain things? Because you said, like, these things are working. What does that mean? And do you set that up ahead of time? I know, sharing numbers is not something you want to do, but do you talk about success metrics in the beginning?
In a more ambiguous way, because, whereas I've known some agencies or companies that would talk to them in very specific terms. And with us, there are certain, performance indicators that they would, talk about. Or you'd always hear. So just to kind of the overarching theme of this would be, that the brands are going to, when you're in marketing, right? I mean, it's about reach, so you want to reach, you want to reach the right audience, which they already know about because we've, if they've asked or they may already know, they want to look at demo. They want to see the age range. They want to see, gender. They want to see geographics, things like that. And we'll provide that. And so once that's determined that you're going to reach the right demographic, then it's, you're looking at, with YouTube, it actually makes it a little easier. I mean, you can look at a YouTube channel and you can look at videos over the last year or month or 6 months or 3 months, and you can kind of get a feel for, roughly how many views am I going to get? Some videos overperform, some underperform, some fall right in, in the average, section there. And so somebody might say, how many views, how many people do you think that I'm going to get in front of? That could be a conversation, and I'll give a range. And normally I'll shoot a little bit low. I don't like to, overpromise and underdeliver by any means. That's not a good way to start a relationship. And but the other thing too is traffic to the website. A lot of brands are looking at, what kind of traffic, what should I expect? They might even ask me, what percentage of the views should I expect this traffic? And, I really try to avoid answering specifics because, I'll even say, again, one video with the same company, a month apart from each other can perform totally different.
Oh,
Could be
yeah,
the
yeah.
title of the video, could be the day.
And sometimes too, it's probably frequency, right? And how close they are together. We've had that with certain campaigns where the first campaign came out and did more in one day than anything we've ever done, the company has ever done. And so, hey, let's do that again. We do it in 3 weeks and it's just too soon. And it's a dud.
That's a challenge. I think what brands, need to realize is that if you try, I know I just got off target a little because, sale, I'll get to that for a second, but, I said, I talked about views, then traffic, and of course, sales conversions, right? And, again, I've handled marketing for a long time, right? And you could say the car business is different and the automotive industry is different, but let me just tell you the way I try to relate the two. For example, when I talk to a brand about driving traffic to their website, I talk about it as if you're driving somebody to the showroom. Because realistically you are, and you need to be able to handle that traffic that's coming to your website. If you're not retargeting, if you're not doing your other ends of marketing, if you're not doing what you need to do, if your website is not user friendly, if it crashes, if you can't check out properly, let's say there's a discount code or there's a special offer that's supposed to automatically apply and there's a bug in the system that could prevent. So traffic is important, but also what they do with that traffic. So again, it's not the weight of everything can't be on the content creator. It can't be because the content creator is supposed to do their job. And look, everybody approves the video before it posts. So they look at it, they say, yeah, you hit the talking points, call to action's great, the video is awesome, whatever. Or, hey, can you add this or do this? We rarely do any type of edits. Aaron is notorious for really nailing it.
First take editor, right? Just get it done the first time.
It's amazing, man. But you were just asking though about, I just lost my train of thought on the.
We're talking about success metrics,
frequency,
about frequency,
how, how you might have a video that and that's amazing. I might sit there and say, guys, your product's awesome. Maybe I've already sampled it or what have you. Aaron's really interested. Yeah, I know this might be a little bit more than you're used to spending for a video or sponsoring a video. But let me tell you, if anybody's going to be able to do it, it's him. And let's say I pitch it really hard and the brand signs on, because part of my message is and I mean it. And you can look at my history. I just told you about the brands that we've been working with year after year after year. When I say I'm looking for a long-term partnership, these aren't just words. I've proven it. We've proven it at MENfluential that that's what we care about. And we believe that the longer the relationship, the better it is for everybody. And so you're going to see ups and downs. The first video out of the gate may prove out to be amazing. And they might think, oh my God, we weren't willing to spend that kind of money, but my God, we're glad we did. We just made multiples back, right? Well, I will still set them straight and say, look, this isn't guaranteed to happen all the time. A campaign is just that. You really should look at it and give a fair shake to everybody, because there's so much value in having a YouTube video, having the content online. It goes beyond just the exact performance of it. Now, that might be hard to swallow a little bit, but at the end of the day, if you can take, let's say you sponsored 6 or 12 videos in the course of a year, and let's say the first one is just through the roof, amazing. The second one disappointed you a little bit, but would have impressed anybody else, right? Because of the first. The third one bombs, but you continue to move on because overall it's been good. At the end of the year, that's really where you can evaluate it. Look back and say, look, over the last 6 videos, we spent X amount of dollars. We really can attribute this much success to, MENfluential or to these campaigns or what have you. And we're going to move forward. It's been successful. Because the other part of all of this, and I know you'll probably get to this a little bit too, is how we work and how sponsorships are paid for, et cetera, versus kind of there's multiple ways of sponsoring per se and getting involved with influencers. But basically, oh, now I really lost my train of thought. I just was gonna, because now my head's thinking about like affiliates and rev share and commissions.
Yeah, and that's one of the things
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about. And if your train of thought comes back into the station, let me know.
Yeah.
But our listeners are affiliate centric. You and I have worked together. You worked with my team on affiliate stuff. It's very much a direct response. Everything is measured by new customer acquisition and sales. And I totally understand all those areas, all the things you talked about with, it's your job to generate traffic, and our affiliates, a lot of times feel the same way. They generate the traffic. Now, what you do with it, it's not the affiliate or the influencer's responsibility. But do you find most of your long-term successful relationships, does that go through the marketing and branding arm of the brand you're working with, or more of a sales channel? So are you working with a brand manager who their focus is reach, or a sales function where their focus is revenue?
So interestingly enough, and this, my train of thought came back a little bit.
Okay.
Having to do with whether or not something was worth it or not. And you talk about affiliates. Where I was going to go with this is attribution, right? I mean, that's a key word here, because there's one reason. So all of our sponsorships are flat fees. They're all, this is what it costs for one video. This is what it costs maybe if we do, a video per month, if we get to that point, or bi-monthly or what have you, or a bigger package. We're happy to work with the brands all the time, and we try to make it as fair as possible. But at the end of the day, right, even with our flat fee sponsorship, the reason that I never decided that I wanted to go with an affiliate base, and I just happened to know this from the beginning, maybe it was some conversation with Aaron or what have you, but I'm all about, look, I get paid for performance, right? I mean, I'm in sales, personally.
Yeah.
So if I don't sell, if I don't take in revenue, I'm not making any money. I can go vacation all I want, and if I'm not generating anything, I'm not making anything. So it is performance-based for me. But for the influencer, their job is to make a great piece of content that's, hopefully relevant to that brand and the integration, pitch them the best they can, drive as much traffic as possible. Hopefully you'll see the conversions. But the question still remains is, when at the end of the video campaign, let's say, and a brand says, okay, we spent X amount and we made Z, and we're really happy with this. What I'll still say, and I mean, that's great to hear. I'm not arguing with it right at that point. I'm saying, well, that's awesome. Let's continue to work together. But I'm also saying, look, I'm glad that you were able to track those results and that they happen to be great. It happened to be a great performance or great results. But I always say, that I'm sure there's a lot of potential traffic and sales that came from those hundreds of thousands of people that viewed that video that you didn't track. And they may say, well, what do you mean? How can that be? Well, it's pretty easy. I mean, that's marketing just in general is, you may see Aaron, and you could be also, there could be so many variables, different devices. You don't click a link, you don't use a code, whatever. Somebody might watch and say, wow, yeah, man, that's awesome. Oh my God, I totally need new t-shirts. Mine have holes in them and they don't fit any, whatever. Oh, that's a great brand. Yeah, I can remember. I'm going to go check that out, right? So they're watching him on their phone. They go home. They're on their desktop. They Google the brand and they say, oh, it's got great reviews. Not only did Aaron speak highly of it, it's got great reviews. I'm going to click on it. So guess where that company thinks the traffic came from? A Google search, right? Or it looks like an organic click, right? And if the call to action or the discount for that call to action isn't high enough, there are people that don't really care. I mean, if it's 10% off of, even if it's a $50 t-shirt, it's $5 off. Oh my God, I forgot the code. Are they going to scramble to go back to the link and, to find that video that they watched where Aaron was talking about that brand. And then, what if there's no code? What if you had to click the link and it automatically applies? Are they going to do all of that? And so the reality is until somebody can really tell me that attribution is closer to 100%, it's very difficult for me to take things at face value. So that's why I also don't try to dive in too much into the results. It's more like this. Hey, Jamie, how did that video perform for you guys? That Aaron did or Jose or one of these guys did a couple of weeks ago. And you say, "But Terry, it was great. We really liked working with you and him and these guys." And I'll say, "Great, fantastic." What reason do I have to dive in to it, right? I mean, they're happy. They've seen success, right? I start diving into the nitty gritty and, everybody's got a different measure of success, right? Some brands want to have a minimum, amount of views. It's few and far between actually. But at the end of the day, back to kind of what you were asking me about is realistically, no matter what the objectives are, the goals are of the brands, I am, and maybe it's wisdom a little bit at my age and that I've been through sales and that I've always been performance oriented and I ran dealerships that were performance oriented and that's how I always got paid. And, it was always about taking care of the customer. But at the end of the day, right, the company needs to make money.
Yeah.
And so, right, what business is not really, maybe they're not thinking of it as direct response, but really what company doesn't want direct response to some degree? They all do. I mean, they might say, like a bigger brand might say, look, we are just interested in views because we're so big and we're everywhere. There's no way for us to track. You can buy us in every corner shop, how do you measure that success, right? I mean, how do you do an integration for a company that you can buy literally at a cart in the, on the sidewalk in the street, any convenience shop or any drugstore or a Target or a Walmart, right? I mean, the thing is these guys may have just brought to your attention something that you may have already known about, but never were going to pull the trigger. You watched a video and he mentions the brand, talks about how great it is, how it can make you feel or look or whatever. And now the next time you're at Target and you're passing by, you buy it, right? So where is that sale attributed to, right? And so it is back to attribution, and affiliate is all about attribution.
It is, and that's where we've had, the hottest thing for many years is influencers in my affiliate program, and advertisers and brands will come in and say that's what we want to get, and let's keep it at the traditional affiliate. You can give them a little more commission. Here you go, and then they see some of these fees and a different structure to work with, and they get really caught up on that. Have you had a lot of that? Have you been able to move people, brands through that? What do you kind of say when that's how they want to work with you and you guys don't work that way?
Well, I mean, you mentioned two brands that were all about affiliate and that paid us through. Well, originally, it was a little different, and we don't have to dive into the grittiness of how it worked with you at the beginning. But look, those couple brands that you mentioned, we worked with them on flat fees. We didn't work on an affiliate basis continuously, right? So they saw the value in just paying, us, flat fees. I got to say this too, that, and I've heard this from influencers, right? And by the way, let me just say this too, is that when Aaron takes money for a brand, it's pressure, man. It is like, the fire is lit under his, because he knows, and he's a businessman. They're paying me this kind of money. It's not about whether you feel like you're worth it or not. That's what you're worth in the market. That's where you're getting paid. Maybe it's because of our relationship and whatever we've done to lay the groundwork. He's getting paid for it, and he knows that it needs to perform at the end of the day. What does that mean? Again, it's views. First of all, it's a great video with a great integration where the brand looks at it and they're proud of it. then it's views, then it's traffic, then sales over time, now and over time. But my question is, to influencers who find the pressure to weigh them down, I've had a few where they just aren't interested in doing that many paid sponsorships because they feel the pressure is mounting. It's too much. An affiliate, though, think about this. You sign up for an affiliate. Your goal is to, let's say the post would cost you $5,000, and let's say they don't do it because it's too much pressure. So they do an affiliate, and let's say they make $100, way, way, way short, and definitely not worth their time for doing what they did. But guess what? Nobody's on their back. No one's saying, "Hey, man, that was terrible. That video didn't perform at all." Because at the end of the day, what does the brand really care? And I'm going to dive into something else, but why do they care? They didn't have to pay. So they're not paying. The
investment wasn't as much.
Yeah. They didn't have to pay because the performance wasn't there. But here's what I'll say about this too, and I've heard this from brands. There are too many content creators that take on affiliate or commission-based or whatever the other model is. They'll take it on and they'll drive traffic. But if those influencers aren't truly that influential or the content isn't that great, does the brand really want to be associated at the end? I mean, at the end of it all.
Yeah.
And that can be, because you can sign on to be an affiliate through, so many platforms. You could write great articles or make great videos, but they don't perform well or don't really do the brand a solid. They don't do the brand justice, right? Put them in a real positive light or anything like that. And so, not that they're talking negative about the brand, they're trying to make money. There's an affiliate link, but that's where I see the fact that, look, if one of our guys produces a video, I can assure the brand, and I always do, they're going to do a great job. And they've already seen some of their other videos and things like that. They know the brands that are already working with them. If the video doesn't perform well, that happens. And I hate to be that way. I hate to just say it like that. But that is the risk that you take in marketing. I mean, you do take that risk. I mean, you could be an advertiser on television, and you could be BMW, and you could have a friend at Mercedes, and Mercedes says, "Man, we ran during, the playoffs and crushed it. We saw sales just go through the roof," right? So then BMW does it and it bombs. Okay. Yeah. Whose fault is that? I mean, there's so many variables in marketing, but I can assure you that these guys do the best they can to integrate the brand and the product and service into great content that, is respectable, that really does a great job, shining a positive light and everything on that brand. The video for most of these guys is going to get a lot of views, which has a lot of SEO value, which, is great for when you're searching for things like that. You find it somewhere.
Long-term evergreen content.
Dude, it's great. Yeah, you said it. Long-term evergreen content is so
and
valuable.
one of the things I want our audience to know, our listeners, is in my experience working with you and Aaron, the difference between the majority of affiliates and you guys has been the level of partnership. Whereas, hey, here's a coupon, go promote this, put a link out there, and a coordinated campaign, the partnership is greater. And because of that, it's going to be a different payment schedule. It's going to be upfront. They're paying for access to your audience, an audience that Aaron has built up and your other influencers have built up. And so that's why it's so important to work in this area, because you guys have done a really good job of building up your brand. And that's one of the things we've been talking about on the podcast and in some of our writing is the affiliates. A big change in the last 5 years has been the emergence of the affiliate as a brand. And if you want access to that audience that brand is cultivated, you need to be willing to work in different ways.
Yeah, I mean, we've had conversations with, it's a tougher conversation when you talk to a brand that, has seen success in affiliates, seen success doing the things that they do, right? The way they do it. To change someone's way of doing things, takes a little bit. And it's, if you're talking to a CMO of a company and maybe a little bit smaller, or you have the access, that's a different story. If you're talking to somebody that then needs to talk to a team, it could be a little bit more difficult, a little more challenging. But I say the same things that I've been saying to you about the fact that our credibility is, and I appreciate the compliment. We do try to manage things the best that we can. I mean, I got to tell you, when it's really funny, and I have to remember this a lot. When a brand says, "Hey, do you have a date in November?" And let's say, yeah, sure, we have a date, and we're going to post it on November 15th, what have you, and let's say it's 4 weeks ahead of that, right? So we're in the middle of October, and the influencer has the product now, and they've got the talking points, and they're going to create the video, and I send it over to them, and they say, "Oh, it looks great," and whatever, blah blah blah. Hey, so we were thinking, do you think we can move that video to a different week, or you said the 15th, but is it going to go maybe earlier, like the 10th? When we have been so busy, and look at this like inventory. We have so many dates available per influencer per year. Some of them have been flexible. They'll add a date here or there depending on their schedule or what their audience will absorb. Sometimes it works, especially in the end of the year, where they can add a couple dates here and there to the schedule. But schedules are so tight. When we give dates, that's the date, and we've really nailed it. We may have missed a couple dates over the years where something just got messed up, and sometimes it's didn't upload. There may have been a glitch with YouTube, or someone thought, "Oh, I had it on my schedule. It was another day." But, we've always made good on communicating for the brand or for the agency on the brand's behalf to the influencer to get the job done. And the results are another thing, but the job gets done, and it gets done in a timely manner to the best that we can. Certain influencers wait a little bit to the last minute. But we do the best we can to kind of nudge them along, get the content done, get it over, give the brand at least a day or two to review and look at it. Some of our influencers are better at that than others. But really, the goal is to get a video, to get content to a brand that the brand says, "Yeah, we really like it. They did a great job. Overall, they're proud of it. And then they'll confirm. So it is going to post on the 15th. What time was it going to post?" And I might respond with something, and then I send them an invoice, and and that's another thing. Knock on wood. Brands have been great with paying. There's just a lot of trust out there.
Yeah.
Especially. It's amazing to me.
Yeah.
That
your brands have been built on trust. The audiences trust them. And it's important, like you said, your guys are promoting things that they believe in, and they think their audience will benefit from. And then the whole attribution thing on their side, and how they're judging it, as well. So Terry, this has been phenomenal. We are about 12 minutes over time. Thank you so much. How do brand, and I may ask you to do this again, because I have 4 questions I didn't even get to, that I know are not 60-second answers. So if it's okay, I'd love to have you on one more time. And so how do people, if they want to follow you guys and get a hold of you and talk to you about a partnership with one of your influencers, what's the best way for them to do that?
Realistically, the contact information is on the website, which is menfluential.com, menfluential.com. And my email address is easy. It's terry@menfluential.com. So terry@menfluential.com. That's really the easiest way. We get reached out to. People find us, right? I'm glad that you asked that. Thank you. We get reached out to by, 20 plus brands a day. I mean, it's phenomenal. So we just have to.
That's great to hear.
Yeah, it's been great. I love what I do.
That is also great to hear. It is easy to get up and get at it when you love what you do.
It really is. It really is. And yeah, man. So absolutely, I'd be happy to come back on. And if you get some questions also in the meantime from anybody in the audience that wants to know a little bit more, they're more than welcome to reach out to me. Otherwise, maybe it's another question or two that you can add to the next time we have a conversation.
Perfect. Well, I will include links to MENfluential in the show notes. And Terry, this has been enlightening. I know this has been one of the biggest topics that our audience has been wanting to learn about. It's a hot topic of working with influencers in the affiliate space. And you provided a ton of info of how you guys work, what you're looking for, why it's different, why they should view it differently. And I really appreciate your time today.
Well, thank you, Jamie. I appreciate it, man.
All right. Take care. Terry, thank you so much for joining us today. Now, we are definitely going to have to do a second episode together, a second recording to go over some of these other questions. Some of the really big things here, influencers are different. There's a different way to work with them. Terry outlines a lot of those great things. And like we stated in this episode, JEBCommerce works and has worked with MENfluential and their influencers on multiple occasions. And we added that tracking and data element to it, and our clients saw amazing results. So if you are looking for new customer acquisition, you are looking for access to audiences that you aren't getting right now, influencers and definitely MENfluential is where you want to go, especially if you work in the men's space. And I can tell you for experience, they are amazing to work with. They really do look at each partnership with a lot of pressure, and they want it to be successful, and they do great work. You can actually go to Aaron's channel on YouTube and see those videos that we were a part of, and those relationships extended for a long period of time. And that is really what it's about. So Terry, thank you so much. You can go to menfluential.com and contact Terry there if you want information. You can also contact us at gethelp@jebcommerce.com if you want more information. I'll link to 2 case studies we have published on our site on jebcommerce.com that directly talk to how working with MENfluential and Alpha M, how they worked for 2 of our clients. And they did work really, really well. So Terry, thank you so much. Looking forward to our next chat and recording that as well. Now, if you are looking at next year and you want to know what your strategy is for success, maybe you want to know, how do I incorporate influencers into my affiliate strategy? Well, then let us help. Just email us at gethelp@jebcommerce.com, and I would be more than glad to set up some time and talk about what your needs are, what you're trying to accomplish. You can also just directly set time up with me by going to calendly.com/Jamie Birch. And there, select the time that I have available, and we will get on the horn and just talk about whatever questions you have, whether it's about how to work with Terry and his influencers, how to work with influencers in general, or simply how to make sure that 2021 is going to be as successful as it possibly can for you. So if you enjoyed this podcast, please share it on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn. If you know someone specifically who's struggling with how to work with influencers and in their affiliate channel, then definitely send them this episode. But we would love a 5-star review on Apple, on Stitcher, and all the other podcast area. But I hope this was informative and educational and entertaining for you. If you do have questions for Terry and influencers in general, please email me at gethelp@jebcommerce.com, and I will use those for our second recording with Terry. But Terry, again, thank you so much. Thank you all for listening, and have a great day.